Okay, and in the word mark, you have the ram backwards because they want you to ram your penis into their anus. Don't you understand, man?
Buckle up, kids. This is about to get weird.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. Days go by. It's the bigger love of the family.
Good. You're finally here. Now can we talk about how to get me out of here? I was running the numbers and... Why are you wearing sunglasses? Take them off. Take them off. If you don't take those glasses off right now, you brain-dead idiot, so help me God, when I get out of here, I'm gonna... You're supposed to be taking care of yourself when I'm not around. What did you do this time? Never mind, I don't want to know. Anyway, now that you're here, take the position. It's about time we got started. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about the interruption, but I would like to welcome you all back to the Wheel of Misinformation, the only show on the internet where one half of the hosting pair is completely brain dead. For those of you who may be new, the Wheel of Misinformation is a simple idea. Here, we have the titular wheel, and on that wheel we have several different categories that each come with their own branch of pseudoscience and nonsense being spread to the far reaches of the internet and beyond. The wheel is spun 3 times, and whatever categories the wheel lands on will determine the topic of the video, as well as the number of clips that will be discussed. Now, without further ado, if there's no more interruptions, let's get spinning. Truther, psychology, truther again. With 2 truthers, it would probably be best to choose one video for each spin, but I still want to start off with something light. Let me just run through the docket real quick to find what would be most appropriate. Perfect. Crazy enough to set the tone, but still digestible enough to process. So first on the list is going to be a video titled, well, maybe we should talk about the man behind this first. So, the alias this dude goes by on the internet is Jurassic Liars, but very little is actually known about him. Well, aside from the fact that he thinks that the Jews are out to get him and overthrow the government or are already behind the scenes pulling the strings, a basic me against them mentality. And of course, nobody could ever forget his catchphrase.
Hey everybody, it's the uneducation of a nation, and I'm here to uneducate you. That's right, I want to take the Jew out of the education.
However, the fun comes in when you see how vehement he is about finding little details on everything that supposedly supports his claims. The video in question, I'm not even going to bother with the title because it's just clickbait, is from a few months back, January of 2019 to be precise, and it seems to revolve around Jurassic believing that a Saturday Night Live skit calls him out in particular and makes fun of him. For what reason? Well, let's just find out.
Hey everybody, it's the uneducation of a nation, and I'm here to uneducate you. That's right, I want to take the Jew out of the education. Folks, listen. I tried to load this video once already, and they said it was a copyright infringement because I had the sound on and I played the video.
Yeah, copyright crap. I sympathize, but let's get to the point.
And let me tell you what this is. This is a Saturday Night Live skit. You know what I'm saying? It's a comedy show.
The point of the skit being done for comedy is going to come into play later, so just keep that in mind. But you should already know that.
I'm gonna prove to you that they are watching my channel, okay? Because I've been on YouTube for many years, and they've been mocking me before, but this one will prove it to you once and for all.
So even though Jurassic Liar's channel has gone through, what are we at now, 26 different iterations due to termination, it says so much about how he believes that the powers that be are trying to silence him and mock him by suggesting that whoever happened to write and produce this sketch has been tracking him since day one. That means keeping notes of everything he's ever put out in order to mock him in this one sketch.
So this girl, she's one of the characters. She's playing a newscaster, and it's a story that's involving a natural disaster, an earthquake. And they're talking to witnesses and, you know, whatever. And then they talk about the victims' names. You're going to see the names they put up on the screen.
Jurassic is leaving out a key part here in order to push the suspicion on the writers mocking him even further. The entire premise of the sketch is that all the people being interviewed and are reported missing were all waiting at the Social Security Administrative Building to legally change their less than desirable names. This is seen right off the bat with the first interviewee that Mikey Day's character speaks to being named.
Well, yeah, my name is Donald McRonald.
Look at the name, Donald McRonald. Okay, like I said, they're mocking us with the names, okay?
I'm at a loss as to how exactly this could be misconstrued as mocking the public, or to a more specific extent, Jurassic. There's a significant difference between mocking the public and making a joke at the public's expense. Whether or not you find the premise of the skit to be funny, it should be fairly obvious that it is meant to be seen as comedic and not taken to have serious underlying tones.
So this guy's name is Mark Penis. I mean, can you believe this, man? Not only does he have the penis in his name, but he's got the word anus in penis, okay? Just like the word Uranus, okay? The fake planet Uranus. It's a mockery of the masses, don't you understand?
Okay, so I'm not able to recall everything that Jurassic believes is true, but I certainly do not remember him ever bringing up the idea that Uranus is a fake planet.
Okay, and in the word mark, you have the ram backwards because they want you to ram your penis into their anus. Don't you understand, man?
So I'm sure by now that you're starting to pick up how Jurassic breaks things down in the majority of his videos. It's a combination of, how should we put it, purposeful dyslexia? No, that makes it sound like a non-issue. Let's say he's an aggressive anagrammist, meaning that he takes a good majority of the words presented in front of him and rearranges them, breaks them down, and looks at the words within to see if they can compose any sort of anagram that he can use to connect to his conspiracies.
And here's the doctor on the scene, and look, she's got the same initials, which I show you every time in my stories.
Ah, yes, and now we finally start to get into the good old Nazi symbolism that Jurassic loves to point out. The name of Rachel Brosnahan's character in the skit is Dr. Shayna Steele, with the initials being SS, something that Jurassic points out as he automatically connects it to the Nazi Schutzstaffel or SS section, which in turn connects the skit to Jews in his mind.
Now the doctor is going to read off some of the names of the victims. Look at the screen and you're going to see the name of the victims. Look. Lisa Simpson, you know Bart Simpson, Lisa Simpson. Look, Bill Cosby. Mario Party, I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. Do you mean like you don't get the joke? Or you can't find some way to connect a joke about Mario Party to Jews?
That's a joke, boy. You missed it. Went right past you. You gotta keep on your toes. Toes had ears. The fast ones get right by you. Keep your ears open.
That means, look at this. Tiny Dick. Morgan Mindy, like Mork and Mindy, the show.
Yeah, like Mork and Mindy, the show, something that Pete makes a joke about in the actual sketch.
And Morgan Mindy.
No. Sorry.
You didn't have to point out the obvious. That's my job.
Look at this, will you? It says Tiny Dick. I mean, can you believe the mockery, man? It's just unbelievable, man.
The mockery of what? If you're insecure about something that they're supposedly mocking, then it just says all the more about how you believe everything is targeted at you.
So here's some more names coming up. Gary, Larry, and Mary Potter, like the Harry Potter crap. Taco Bell. Todd Cobell is Taco Bell.
Okay, at this point you're just repeating the jokes. There is no underlying theme here. It's a joke. That's it. Unless... Go back to the previous names. Gary, Larry, and Mary Potter. Oh my god. In each name there's a Y. That makes there 3 Ys. And there are 3 people. 3 plus 3 equals 6. And if you repeat that 3 times to account for each name, you get...
And look at this name, Pete Ophelia. Like pedophilia.
Yes, again.
That's the joke.
And they're hailing this guy as a hero. Get it? Hailed. His name is A. Hitler. Hail Hitler. Heil Hitler.
That's the joke.
I honestly don't know what you're supposed to be breaking down at this point, Jurassic. I mean, you, out of all people, would normally be freaking out about the fact that they made another Nazi reference with Hitler. I don't know if it's just me, but he kind of feels out of sorts today.
It's just beyond belief, man. I can't stop saying those words, man. I mean, if this doesn't prove that they're watching my videos, I don't know what does. They know I'm 100% right.
I don't know what does prove that they're watching your videos either, Jurassic, but it certainly isn't this. Wait, unless you're implying that you think they're writing these names to make fun of the way you're miraculously able to find the hidden meaning in everything you read. Honestly, that's probably the most sound argument Jurassic would have put forward in the entire video. And he didn't even state it.
So I'm telling you right now, people should be arrested for this. What I'm about to show you, somebody should be arrested for this. You understand that? The parents, the producers, the directors, the act whores, every one of them should be arrested, okay? For this perversion. Look at this kid's name. They're saying that this is the kid's name, okay? Holden Two Dicks. Just, oh man, I'm about ready to lose it.
I'm not quite sure as to why people would be arrested. It's an arguably inappropriate joke, but again...
That's the joke!
Man, you're running my clip well dry over here, so I think that's just about enough out of you. Maybe we'll see each other again, Jurassic? But honestly, I'd rather not. Up next for our psychology category is a video from one Mr. James Robert Clark. Now, Mr. Clark isn't peddling a pseudoscience per se, but rather claiming that psychology falls under the veil of being considered a pseudoscience. Along with that, Mr. Clark is, let's just say, opinionated for right now, and get this started.
The reason that behavioral health is mostly ineffective is it has no basis in science. When I went to school for criminal justice, it was referred to as a soft science. But what people need to understand is there are no soft sciences. Either something is objective or it's not objective.
The phrasing of hard and soft sciences can be a bit misleading at first, with some people believing that one is representative of factual, hard truth, whereas the other is soft or falsified. In reality, hard and soft sciences are merely a categorizing system that the different branches of science fall into. Natural sciences such as biology, chemistry, and astronomy are referred to as hard sciences, more concrete in the rules and understandings of how nature and the science around it works, thus being considered hard. Soft sciences, on the other hand, encompass social branches like sociology, economics, and, of course, psychology. These branches are referred to as soft based on their malleability, how they're able to adapt over time as new information and ideas are put forward, adjusting with the proverbial climate.
There are no soft sciences. Either something is objective or it's not objective. The scientific method is how you tell what's true. Psychology and sociology lack the objectivity of data collection.
The difference between these two categories is not based on how objective one section is considered over the other. Both psychology and sociology frequently employ mathematical formulas when it comes to data collection, so to say that the two sections lack objective data collection is just plain false. In fact, it could be argued that there's more objectivity in psychological data collection, as it often takes data from multiple subjects, allowing for a greater understanding of what biases the participants may have, and eliminating them by looking at the commonalities and symptoms rather than the differences.
working in mental health, I saw this, is the field attracts liberals and egalitarians.
I ain't touching that one.
A lot of people that work in mental health believe in gender fluidity or I should say disbelieve in the fact of chromosomal gender assignment, meaning that you are born a specific sex/gender, and that is what you are. So that is a delusion that is normalized by many that work in mental health.
Using the term belief here may be a bit of a stretch. Regardless of whether mental health professionals do not really believe in anything pertaining to what can be considered a real or unreal condition, they still do their jobs and are led by strict guidelines of how to diagnose a mental illness or disorder, along with how to be professional in their work environment. On their off time, these professionals can hold whatever opinions they want to, so long as they don't let this bias affect the outcome of their work. Psychology is supposed to be an unbiased field, disregarding social prejudices and stigmas to work towards bettering our understanding of humans. So say you were a psychologist, James, or even, a farther stretch of the imagination, a psychiatrist. If a patient with a case of gender dysphoria or other identity issues came in and you waved them off, saying that they were delusional would be a huge violation based on discrimination. Whether or not you believe that gender dysphoria is a real issue, it would be your job as a mental health professional to accept the person for who they are and walk them through their problems based around whatever help you could provide in your field. Not only is it the professional thing to do, but it's the human thing to do as well.
Another serious issue is most mental health workers, especially therapists and other real big lefties, believe in the blank slate theory, which is that people learn behavior, and that's what goes on, is the learned behavior and you can unlearn behavior, which is true. You can modify behavior to a certain extent, but you cannot permanently change personality traits because personality traits are inherited.
The tabula rasa theory stems from ancient philosophy. The basic gist is that human beings are born as tabula rasa, or a clean slate, meaning that there are no pre-programmed beliefs, behaviors, or otherwise that come as a default mental state when we're born, but rather that we are only programmed to observe and process information about the world around us and develop behaviors around these experiences. If this sounds a bit familiar, it's also because it's one of the base arguments in the classic nature versus nurture debate within psychology. Nature versus nurture seeks to find whether behavior is determined by the environment a person is born and raised into, nurture, or the genes and biological structure of the person based on their parents' traits, nature. Based on his previous statement, we can discern that James lies more so in the belief of nature, that a personality is established by genes rather than the environment around a person.
Now, what's funny is people in the mental health field do not like to accept the heritability of anything.
I don't know how you came to that conclusion, but mental health is very much accepting of how heredity and genes can affect a person. A person inherits their genetics from two parents. Say one of these parents had schizophrenia and the other was an alcoholic. This does not automatically mean that the child is more likely to develop either one of these issues, but rather that they have a higher level of predisposition towards it. Say I have 2 cups of water, the same size, but one has more water in it than the other. The water level is representative of an individual's susceptibility or predisposition to a certain mental illness, disorder, or otherwise. Now take the hands on my body. They're both the same size and shape, representing a catalyst for a disorder, let's say alcoholism. When you introduce the catalyst to both subjects, the one with a higher predisposition is easier to spill over the edge or develop the particular disorder.
And on top of that, what's funny is you see this body or fat acceptance stuff going on in mental health. When I worked at a community mental health clinic, I had my coworkers working against me because I used to be, I have the certification to be a personal trainer, which is now out of date, but I had a personal trainer certification and I used to teach karate. So they gave me a group on weight management. I did a group every week on weight management. And I would follow up with the clients and make sure they were meeting their goals or, following a healthful diet. Now, what's funny is I had the coworkers, the therapists working against me by telling these poor people, oh, it doesn't matter if you're fat. You should be happy with how you look.
It sounds like the work environment you found yourself in was less than ideal for anyone involved. You had to deal with these colleagues supposedly working against you, and they had to share a workspace with you. But jokes aside, I get the feeling that there's a bigger picture here than your colleagues were simply advocating for fat acceptance. I'm not going to be touching on the whole fat acceptance thing, because there's more than likely a reason that the other personnel working at that community mental health center were quote-unquote accepting of them. These people may have suffered from a disorder, such as body dysmorphia or any number of eating disorders, leading them to feel even more insecure about themselves. In order to improve on their mental state, the other professionals they were working with were probably trying to be supportive and get the patients in the correct mindset before going into more elaborate methods of therapy and treatments. Again though, this is only conjecture. I wasn't there and I don't have all the details, so don't shoot the interpreter.
Now, and a lot of this they blame on the psychiatric medicine, but a lot of it is based on the poison that is being put into their head by the mental health community, that it's okay to be fat, it's okay to be unhealthy, it's okay to be ugly.
Whoa, now we're bringing looks into it? Taking a stance not just on a psychological standpoint, but as a decent human being? Even if a person isn't the easiest on the eyes, and trust me, I sympathize with my people, you shouldn't just say that you shouldn't be accepting of their facial appearance, especially if they've developed an insecurity, or even worse, a disorder around it.
The problem with that is these people then use this as a means to justify lackadaisical attitudes, and this becomes a way of life for these people.
A few bad apples, James. A few bad apples.
And another thing that you find is the normalization of odd behavior.
Think about that sentence for a second. The normalization of odd behavior. I'll give you a second to let that sink in. You see the issue there? Good, let's move on.
One of the things that you'll find is the normalization of anti-Western attitudes. Now, this goes all the way back to Sigmund Freud, who was a vehement anti-Gentile.
Let's get my boy Freud in here, the one and true authority on everything psychology. He's never, ever been wrong about everything before.
And basically promoted things like the, quote, sexual revolution and things of this nature, which was then followed by the Frankfurt School.
The Frankfurt School is just a fancy way of saying a bunch of Marxists and Freudians got together and formed their own branch of philosophy centered around anti-capitalism, communism, etc.
And pushed to basically destroy gender roles and proper sexual morality in the West.
Proper sexual morality. James, here you go again espousing your own biases. It's pretty clear why you didn't cut it in the mental health world. Because you weren't able to move past your own prejudices and simply work to help people. Regardless of what you believe is sexually immoral, as James puts it, it has to be recognized that like everything in this world, our morality is subjective. Our morality is based around the culture and environments that we grow up in, and it's established as moral based on what only we know as an individual. Just as you claim that someone is being sexually immoral here in the West, James, you could just as easily be accused of being sexually immoral for doing something different under another culture's moral standards.
Now, this is normalized in the mental health field. A lot of therapists push this, well, if it makes you feel good, you do it, sister.
I definitely ain't touching that one.
And again, what you will see in the mental health field is an almost complete absence of heteronormative men. Men that adopt a heteronormative lifestyle.
A good majority of psychologists, psychiatrists, and even psychology professors that I've met have all been straight males, so I think that's pretty heteronormative to me. If anything, the biggest issue with all of the professionals that I met is the fact that they're straight white males.
I did work with one male, and unfortunately the dude was my supervisor, and he was fruity as hell.
Oh no.
I did work with two males. One was this one was not my supervisor. He was a long-haired, freaky person, and if it were up to me, he need not apply. And he was the drug and alcohol guy. And his view was an anything goes mentality, except for the fact that anything goes meant anything he viewed as normal behavior.
Oh, so he was accepting of people that came to him for help? And didn't turn them away at the drop of a hat once he learned they were different? Wow, that's so unprofessional. He should take a page out of your book and learn a thing or two, huh, James?
He would promote, from what I got from the clients I shared with him, his big thing was promoting basically multiculturalism.
And learning about different cultures is a bad thing? Well, I suppose you would think so based on that whole sexual morality stance we just discussed.
And the other dude, who was my supervisor, he was very effeminate, but did have a wife. Of course, that doesn't really mean anything. He did have a wife and kids, but he was extremely effeminate, very limp-wristed.
Okay, I think I've had just about enough out of you for today, James. I will note, though, that his closing remark is him explaining what evidence was used against him when he got fired for telling a gay person he should get a second opinion on whether or not he should be gay. But seriously though, James, spit out your gum. Last but not least is a face that may be familiar to some, but lovable to newcomers as well. I'd like to introduce everyone to one Richie from Boston. God, nobody says it like he does though.
Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Richie from Boston.
Richie is another basic example of a truther that has way too many beliefs to keep track of, but that doesn't make him any less entertaining to watch and try to discern what the heck he's talking about.
Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Richie from Boston.
Hey Richie.
It's Monday morning. I think it's like the 12th or the 13th of May. It's 5:50 a.m. It's early, and I've been driving for an hour and a half. I just drank a coffee that I got from a gas station, and the last sip was nothing but coffee grounds. So that's awesome.
Well, did you swallow them? Because if you did, that's your choice, Richie. You can't blame the gas station for you willingly drinking their coffee grounds. Yeah, they got into the cup, but still.
I was talking to my family members yesterday, and while I was talking to them, I noticed that the news was on. And the news was Iran.
The news was Iran. The biggest headline of the century. I'll never forget the day I turned on the TV and I saw that heartbreaking chyron that read, Iran.
Our government repealed the Smith-Mundt Act. I've talked about this a million times. They repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, which now allows them to use propaganda against you.
Me?
If we lived in a real democracy, if we lived in a real republic where our government actually served us, it doesn't. We don't. Our own government wouldn't be using propaganda against us, but they do.
What do you mean by the government is using propaganda against us? Because I picture them putting up posters in England that says, I want you to kill Americans.
So there's that. Look it up. It is not hard to find at all.
It's pretty hard to find.
It is not hard to find at all. Snopes is not a research tool.
That is somewhat true. Snopes isn't a research tool. However, I don't think that many people really use it for research, or at least thorough research anyway. For those who don't know, Snopes is a website that basically confirms or denies whether or not urban legends and myths are based in truth or are completely false, sometimes going into the origin of said urban legend. Even if it was used for research, the information provided is fairly limited and wouldn't be counted as a credible source. But that's probably just the writer in me talking.
Snopes is not a research tool. For people like us, when you have a theory and you're not sure about it, go to Snopes. If they debunk it, it's true.
Richie, you said it couldn't be used for research. Even this twisted anti-mirror world truth research that you just mentioned is still considered research.
We're seizing ships, allegedly, from North Korea, and we're sending planes and military vehicles to Iran. One of them is going to get hit. We will be at war.
Richie, what does North Korea have to do with anything? North Korea and Iran are like an entire continent apart. The two may be interconnected, but I don't care about this crap, so I'm relying on you to tell me, Richie. Then and only then will I look into something to see if you're wrong. That's how this works.
Before the end of this year, we will be at war with Iran, one way or another. And that means we've got another 9/11 type event coming to our shores. Our own government is going to make us go to war with Iran. They will need another 9/11 event. They will need another Pearl Harbor.
They will need it? Who is this they, Richie? The unspecified they could be referring to the United States or Iran in this case. Coming from you, though, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that you think the US is going to plan another 9/11-like attack on themselves.
And they'll do it, and they're going to do it. I keep referring to the 2018 Economist cover that showed a mushroom cloud, the rider on a pale horse, death. I keep referring to that for a reason.
So I searched through the covers of every Economist issue of the past 4 years, and the only one I could find that featured a mushroom cloud is the cover from August of 2017. I don't see death nor any other horsemen, just 2 caricatures in a mushroom cloud. Besides, the issue's more focused on possible war with North Korea, but you kinda just mentioned that on the side. Sorry to disappoint, Richie.
It freaks me out how many channels are wasting time on things like the mud flood. Who cares? It's irrelevant. It's totally, completely, 100% right now irrelevant.
Who cares? People that live in the area affected by the flood.
The only thing people should be talking about is the fact that at 5 o'clock in the morning, the sky is already a shade of gray. They're already blocking out the sun. And they're putting out news articles saying they're going to suck the CO2 out of the air to refreeze Antarctica. This is ridiculous.
Did you ever stop to think that maybe the reason why the sky is gray in your area is because it's about to or just recently rained? You can even see condensation on your driver's window, Richie, come on! But I don't think anybody could reasonably expect every single person in America to drop every other conversation and focus solely on your worries. I'm sorry, madam, but I can't perform the surgery right now. Richie from Boston is currently driving under a rain cloud at the moment.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and nobody gives a Everybody's messing around with technology and their phones. You see what I'm saying?
I don't want to be that guy, but I'm pretty sure Richie records his videos on his phone.
If you think the Mandela effect is a good sign from the creator or the universe, you're way, way, way off. They're changing history. They've been doing it for a while now. That's all there is to it. Trying to break into another dimension using CERN, using D-Wave, and maybe using ITER, that has consequences. They're making little, small changes here and there that are showing up on our side of the veil. Nothing more, nothing less. Be ready. Be prepared.
The Mandela effect. Finally, something I can talk about that's actually interesting. Now, I'm not 100% sure at this moment why Richie brought up the Mandela effect, but I might as well explain it for those who are unfamiliar with so we have something to talk about. Technically known as false memory, the concept was first discovered by, Sigmund Freud, along with Pierre Genet, and later elaborated upon by Elizabeth Loftus. The basic idea is that humans suffer from memory glitches, or false collective memories, with one of the most infamous false memories serving as the genesis of the name. The Mandela effect gets its name from an event in the late 2000s, where rumors spread around the internet and social circles that the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, had died. However, this information proved to be false, and certainly a surprise to Mandela as well, as he was still alive until passing away in 2013. The Mandela effect is claimed by some to be evidence of parallel dimensions and universes in which things are only slightly different from our own. Now that that's explained, maybe Richie will clue us in as to why the hell he brought it up in the first place.
War is coming. There's no two ways about that. Once we send planes and warships to an area that they're dying to go to war, remember General Wesley Clark?
Nope, no explanation, just more incoherent rambling about Iran and how we're going to win a war in the future. So I'm gonna save y'all from the headache. Sorry, Richie. See ya.
It sucks to have to live like that, but you can either be ready or you can be a victim. Choice is yours. I'm out.
And with that, our case studies come to an end for the day. Jurassic, Mr. Clark, Richie, you all performed exceptionally today, and I can't wait to see what's in store for next time. For me, in the meantime, I've still got to figure out some way to get out of here before this computer bites it. So I hate this science and run, but I got work to do. Thanks for tuning in though, and I hope to see y'all again. Until next time.